Hey there. June the 26th, a couple of days after solstice, we've had a new moon. We've had lots of rumors of massive things changing on this planet. And if you're seeing this for the first time, then I am going to refer you to the subject of the RV, Nasara, and the reset. What's happening is the rest of the world has noticed beyond their comfort zone that a rogue nation that had the ability to print all their money and account nothing to anybody else in the rest of the world totally controlled the world and bought a lot of guns and nuclear weapons with their money and built underground getaway zones for special people and had secret space missions. And basically you had a Rothschild company in United States called the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve then lends money to Americans, and the Federal Reserve had the right given by everybody else in the world since 1946 was rewarded as Americans to be the world currency. The rest of the world decided that enough is enough. They're tired of being bullied and suppressed and being treated like second class citizens everywhere in the world, and decided that they were going to stand up to the bully. And they have put together their own money, and what they have done is they backed it with gold. Now, how does that affect you? If your country is not backed by gold right now, and you need to purchase something, it's going to have to find gold first at the value and then purchase the thing it needs. So you need oil. Right now, the United States can print the money and buy the oil. And they've been doing this for so long that, they're a guy with an American Express Platinum card that never has to pay anything back. And he just goes through and does whatever he wants to do and accounts to nobody. So all this American money that is printed, that is used as a security on the word of the Rothschild Group, the Federal Reserve, is being now tested. And this test, if you have a choice between a whole pile of paper and some bullies that have been threatening the world and some solid gold, I know you're not a fool. And so now this will play out. For the first time since 1946, United States of America now has to play by the rules. They're no longer the banker in the monopoly game. They sit down and they have to pay Broadwalk when it passes. And so what's going to happen is simply this. Every other currency in the world that was undervalued will come back to a value set by the country's worth. This is all figured out in the UN economics and everything else of how much minerals you have and how much tourism you do and what's your GDP and all of that kind of stuff. And every single country has its worth, like every single company, like every single human being, potential worth. The thing is, United States is worth a lot, but it also owes a lot. It's been promising for years for all the oil that is bought, everything from China that is bought, and it has run its credit card up really, really high. They've had the luxury of going, no problem, we just print some more money. That's not going to work anymore. Now what's going to happen is all the printed money that's out there has to now go to buying gold. or go to buying something that is tangible. And the sellers are looking at the pile of money and going, I don't trust it anymore. Something's not right. And when this happens, just like a stock market, margin calls and the thing tumbles. I'm recommending that everybody watching this, you don't have to listen. And mostly you don't have any money to invest, it doesn't matter. And if you're sitting on property and friggin' tons of mortgage and all of that, don't worry, because right now you owe only that printed money. So everything is going to find its real value. So 25,000 dinars is worth about $25 US right now, or yesterday, or Friday. But Iraq has been given a gold standard privilege by the elders in China, along with every other country. And their $25 value now to US, if the real value of the dinar is now, say, represented as the potential of the oil that Iraq can produce and everything else that it produces or did produce, is now evaluated and compared with the US that is in debt and is overweight and dying of cancer. Sorry, but this is the reality. Things are going to equate and balance. So as one currency goes up and the other one goes down, it's a seesaw effect. The $25 now turns into $250 or $2,500 or $25,000 or $250,000 or $2.5 million on one side. So all these figures you're hearing of your dinars or your zim is worth millions of dollars, this could be true, potentially. Millions of what? Of pieces of paper that were printed by Uncle Sam that is damned. I like to rhyme, you know me. So I would suggest that if anybody is invested in any of these foreign currencies, the first thing you do is get out of that currency and get into something solid. And that would be gold. Now, if everybody did that, there's not enough gold, and the gold is going to go up. So automatically you can see it. The best investment right now is gold because it has been pegged to the US dollar. Now, if the US dollar is forced to buy the gold in itself, just look at it. There's $1 trillion US dollars out there, and there's 100 pounds of gold. How much is that gold worth? If all that money has to buy that gold, now you can start to see the picture. Just put the two rooms, a room full of money and a room with a small amount of gold. How does that money and that gold balance? Well, that money over there is worth that gold in there. And when you really look at it, it's probably 10, 20, 30, 50, 100,000 of those monies, dollars, for that kilo of gold. And there you have it. It's all in relativity. Most North Americans do not understand hyperinflation because you've never lived it. But if you came from a third world country or a country like Argentina or Jamaica or somewhere where the IMF and every World Bank and everybody else is after them because they're, poor black people, then that's now being switched around. Master, servant, servant, master. Sorry, you can't just have a win-win-win game. Everything has to balance. But the good news is, we don't want anybody to suffer. We want you to realize what you've had and appreciate what you've had so that we can all see eye to eye. So the elders in China have set up that every single human being on this planet gets a basic income and has the ability to have their own $6 million that they will get in 50 years. So let's look at it this way. There's tons and tons of gold, and if you work it all out, divided by 7.5 billion, we have about $6 million worth of gold each. This gold is ours. It's been saved for us for this time to save humanity. If you gave everybody $6 million, the friggin' world would go crazy. You have no idea what to do with it, and we'll be buying boats and Ferraris, and in no time the money's not worth anything. So that's not going to work. So they've come up with a plan to give you the $6 million in 50 years and pay you the interest till then. And the interest will be about $1,200 equivalent a month. If you had a project and you wanted to build solar roof cells or free energy devices or vertical gardens or humanitarian projects that feed people and make things better in this planet, unlike the things that we see happening, we will actually they will actually give you an advance in your own money. And that is how we're going to fund all of these projects. This is my understanding. You want to hear more about the Zim and the dinars? What if $100 trillion is worth $100 trillion US? Well, what if a loaf of bread is $1 billion? What sense? It's happened in Germany. There's pictures of people with wheelbarrows trying to buy a loaf of bread. The marks were worth nothing after World War II. So, what happens in the interim? I say, stay cool, be wise. Nobody is against you. If 350 million people living in the United States were to have a serious problem where they couldn't get gas, oil, food, and whatever else from the rest of the world, it's inevitable that there'll be a war. No one wants a war anymore. And this is what people are not going to understand. Why is it that the Chinese elders are helping the United States after the United States screwed them royally? Well, they're elders. They see things 1,000 years ahead. They don't see things next week. Sorry, but most of us do. And if 350 million people in your poverty mindset were to actually blame something, like you normally do, blame China or the Muslims or Islam or terrorists or whatever, like point all the time. I mean, Jesus Christ, man. Stop pointing your fingers and start looking at yourselves. Behave. The rest of the world is not against you. You have been against the rest of the world, and the rest of the world is tired of being bullied. Now try to see it that way. Try to be the good guy and see it. And if your next door neighbor is ignorant of the fact, give him a good slap in the head and tell him what to do, man. Because, it's like ignorance has had its day. We're not going to tolerate ignorance anymore. Everybody talks about democracy and ignorance in the same playing field, I sit around, hey, let me talk about this. You sit around horizontal leadership and everybody has an equal say. Well, how can you have an equal say in the finances when you know nothing about finances? How can you have an equal say about farming when you know nothing about farming? Right? Everyone has their knowing, their expertise. Give people credit where credit is due. Right? And I honestly think that this horizontal leadership that people are trying to say where everybody has a say is actually a ploy to make sure that nothing gets done. I've actually seen horizontal leadership where it takes 3 months to get a name for something, right? Yeah, I'm calling names because it's anybody watching this video knows me, knows where it came from and know what I'm talking about. It's time to grow up, everybody. And this reset is about maturing, about looking at people from their point of view. In other words, if you want to know somebody else, walk